Hey, supply chainers, wherever you are in the world, this is Sarah Barnes-Humprey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain. Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. It is the first Tuesday of 2023, and that means that it's the first Thoughts and Coffee of the year. And my trade bestie, Audrey Ross, is going to be joining me today. We've got lots of hot topics to talk about, including an update on the maple syrup story that we brought you probably about 6 or so months ago on Thoughts and Coffee, and cannot wait to share that with you. So my name is Sarah Barnes-Humprey. I'm the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the Blended podcast, and also the founder of the Blended Pledge. And we've got all sorts of exciting news on the Blended Pledge coming up next week because we've got some winners to announce. If you guys did not check it out, we had 2 tickets to TPM 23 available to lucky winners, and we were putting up some posts on Let's Talk Supply Chain and on the Blended page. If you don't follow the Blended Pledge page, go and follow it because we are going to have way more of that in 2023. And I cannot wait to announce the winners of those registrations, which we're going to do next year. All right. So what's up? We've got a brand new episode. So the first episode of 2023 for Let's Talk Supply Chain is our Woman in Supply Chain episode with Ashley Yentz of Sleep Number. That's right. She is in charge of the supply chain for Sleep Number. She was on Thoughts and Coffee a couple of months ago. Everybody loves Ashley. I love Ashley. We talked all about her journey. She started off at Toyota and was really, really curious about everything, ended up in supply chain, and is now reimagining last mile delivery for Sleep Number. And it's an incredible story. So go and check that out. You can check it out either on letstalksupplychain.com. We've just put the link in the comments. You can also check it out on the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube page or wherever you subscribe to the show. What else have we got? Oh, we've got some live shows. The first Log Tech Live of 2023 is coming at you on Friday, and Eric's going to be talking to Ernest about an investor thesis, what it is, and why you absolutely need one. We're going to put that link in the comments as well. Go and click the attend button. Even if you can't attend live, we send you the link to the recording afterwards, or I do anyways personally from my LinkedIn, so that you don't miss an episode. And so, yeah, go and click the attend button because it's going to be a really, really great show. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, this is our impact page on letstalksupplychain.com. One of the things that I talked to you guys about last January for resolutions was to pick a sustainability goal for the year and just make small steps towards that every single day or week or month, whatever you can do. Maybe instead of those personal resolutions. A lot of people really liked this idea. So I wanted to direct you to our impact page on letstalksupplychain.com just to let you know some of the organizations that we are involved in. Obviously, Blended. We're doing Woman in Supply Chain. I am a part of the mentorship program, the 22-22 mentorship program. We do some volunteering. We also donate to water.org, Kiva for entrepreneurship, Harvest 107, and 4 Oceans. So pick an organization, get involved, do whatever you can. I think that that a lot of people really resonated with that as a resolution. So hopefully that helps you as well. What else have we got going on? We've got the monthly hustle. I wanted to let you guys know because we've got 9,700 subscribers to my personal newsletter over on LinkedIn called the Monthly Hustle, where I am sharing all sorts of tidbits and information that you're not going to find anywhere else. We talk about leadership, entrepreneurship. We talk about supply chain. So go and check that out. We are coming out with a new one on Monday about cancel culture, which is going to be pretty interesting as well. What else have we got going on? Oh, that's the poll. So what I want to talk to you about as well is that we've got a follower of the month. So our follower of the month, which we are going to be announcing later today on our LinkedIn page, is Christian Said. Thank you so much for participating with us in December. And I'm going to be in touch to find out what mug that you would like. Well, without further ado, I think I've talked way too much already. We're going to bring up my trade bestie, Audrey Ross. Hello, Audrey. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Did you have a good one? Tell me all about it.
Like my New Year's Eve?
Yeah. Or your holidays?
Sure. Holidays. That's a fun thing in supply chain to not have. Yeah, no, it was good. It was nice to spend a lot of time.
Oh, I think she froze on me. Let's give her a second to come back. Hopefully her computer is not kicking her out, but it looks like she is frozen. All right. So we are going to keep going with the show. I just want to say hi to a whole bunch of people who are saying Happy New Year. Bhavik, Michelle, Krishna, Salini, Mawaza, Shalini, Sunila. We've got Paul as well. And Bayram, hello. Thanks again for joining us in 2023. We are definitely going to have some continued success in 2023, and we wish you all the same. You're back.
I'm
I think it was your computer.
Yeah, I think my professional grade computer likes to blue screen every time I'm on this website.
Awesome. So tell us about your holiday.
Yeah, I didn't really have one. I spent some time with my family, and yeah.
Oh, so you were dealing with all sorts of shipping disruptions.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well,
So I'm looking forward to the new year.
So tell us all about what disruptions you were experiencing over the holiday, and do you see them kind of easing up for 2023? Let's start with the market update, and then I'll get you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, mostly at the last 2 weeks of the year, you just see no one's in office, so it's really hard to get stuff picked up, because people are taking breaks, and so it's just a bit more of a congested time because everybody sort of has this kind of lead up to the end of the year, and then they kind of drop off. We're seeing some COVID delays in China again at some of our different factories, so that's more of a manufacturing issue. Most of the ports we're at are fairly clear. The Vancouver situation seems to have eased up quite a bit because we're definitely not seeing 14 weeks, which is something that we saw, starting in July and August. The delays there were really significant. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I think we had a lot of delays on air freight. I don't know if you shipped air freight over the holidays, but we're seeing all sorts of pictures, right? Pearson Airport in Toronto, sea of bags, and that's not even cargo.
No. And that's something that happens. People do, a lot of people have folded air as part of their strategy, which can be very effective. But it sometimes runs into the same problems when you just have too much volume. We had something last year that sat in Korea for most of December because the earliest available flight when we made the booking at the end of November was like, oh, you can go out December 31st. We're like, we were sort of hoping for something sooner, but
before Christmas.
Okay. Yeah, well, not really, but kind of. You're like, we kind of need this for Jan 3rd, so December 31st is pushing it a little tight. But so I imagine people saw the same thing. Especially with the mass amount of courier shipping and online shopping that people have started to do, it makes that space a lot more congested.
Well, and I think one of the biggest news stories was Southwest, right? We had this big snowstorm, and then it just sort of Southwest kind of crumbled underneath it. I did read a really good post on Facebook from one of the pilots that just said, this has been coming. And the leadership of Southwest hasn't taken responsibility and really focused on operations. It's actually, you know what? I should have pulled it up for this particular episode.
Yeah, you may want to share it. Yeah.
Because you know what? Maybe I'll take a screenshot and share it a little bit later. Yeah. But they were talking about how the old CEO really focused on operations. They were part of operations. They knew how operations worked. Then they brought in a finance guy for their CEO. And he did not focus on operations. And I think this is a really good supply chain story, is that we all need to focus on our people. We all need to focus on our operations because Southwest is just one example of what can happen when everything kind of crumbles over a long period of time. What he was saying was this wasn't just one thing. This wasn't just the weather event. This was over time, and it was a series of things. And the people were pleading with them, being like, no, this needs to change. We need to upgrade our technology. We need to be able to do more. They ignored it. They ignored it. They ignored it. They ignored it. And then, Christmas happened, holiday season happened, and it just was pure chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting if you are a company that hasn't done any digital transformation or hasn't looked into upgrading your tools, I think it's a really good canary in the coal. I don't know, it's past the canary. It's time. It is time because it really is a classic. I mean, it'll be a case study in 5 years because it was such a mess. And how do you get back to those customers? And it's a massive airline. Like, I was even shocked at how many people they moved because, you're hearing, oh yeah, they canceled flights. And then it's like, no, they canceled like 5,000 flights. Yeah. That's a ton of flights and people and things that aren't happening. And then having their employees on hold for like 6, 10, 17 hours in one case to like manually call them and tell them where they are so that they can try to this is a hot mess.
Yeah. And I posted a photo on my personal LinkedIn about this as well, because we had a similar issue in Pearson because the baggage belt went down.
It broke.
And there
One
was
of them.
there was a sea of luggage.
Yeah.
And the point of my post was really about people. Yeah. Right. These are just the disruptions every single day that supply chain professionals are seeing and are dealing with. You need problem solvers. You need leadership. And supply chain leadership is not for the faint of heart. This is what it looks like when one thing breaks down.
Yeah. I think you make a really good example about the CEO too, because I just saw an article about Barnes & Noble and they brought in a book lover. Right. So I guess they'd had maybe a similar experience. They brought someone in and like things were doing okay. They brought this guy who's like obsessed with books. And the company's had a big like opening new stores again. And you're like, who has physical books anymore? But so I think it's interesting. The leadership team, it's important. It's important who's at the top there.
Yeah. What the passion is, what their experience is. Have they been on the front lines? Have they worked in operations? Have they worked in the several different areas that they're actually looking to manage? I mean, these are all really, really important.
Or are they like Jack Welch and they just trust the people they hire to get it done?
True. Very, very true. All right, let's get to our poll because we're going to be talking a little bit more about air freight in just a minute because our first article is about air freight as well. So the poll that we asked you last week, are you cold calling on New Year's Day? So I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a poll out there, I think before we went on holidays. So before Christmas, asking if you would cold call on Christmas Day. And it went viral. There was a whole bunch of people that were very angry about it. And then there was a whole bunch of people who were like, hell yes, I would do that. So we changed it up and we asked you guys about New Year's Day. So I want to ask all of you in the audience, put in the comments, would you cold call on New Year's Day? 88% of you said heck no. And 12% of you said absolutely. I want to know who this 12% is because and cold calling is physically picking up the phone and calling somebody. Emailing is a little bit different. I think I sent out a couple of emails on New Year's Day just because I was doing a little bit of work and trying to get set up for the new year. What do you think about this? What would you do? I mean, as a shipper, we had a comment about how shippers do not want to hear from anybody on New Year's Day.
I absolutely do not want to hear from most cold calls that I get. So there's that from my side, from my very biased opinion on this topic. I think we have a lot of people who we follow maybe in North America. And so Christmas and the January 1st New Year's are a really big deal. And maybe a lot of people, like majority of people, are taking those as very sort of sacrosanct holidays. It is very specifically like family time. That's not necessarily the case for everyone. Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year is coming up on Jan 22nd. So Jan 1st might not be your big New Year's party. And Christmas might not be your sort of sacrosanct large holiday in your family. So I think it sort of depends. But if I hope if you're cold calling, you have leveled up and you know the person or you know something about them so that the call will go better than a lot of the calls and nonsense that I get sent.
But I think you make a really good point. Supply chain
Yeah.
is global. Know
Yeah.
your audience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Know what they're celebrating. Know if
Yeah.
it's a significant holiday for them or not.
Yeah.
And know where you are, because you might be in Australia and it might be January 2nd, but still January 1st in North
There's that too. But if you're in Canada, you can totally email the Australians because they're like in the future. So it's
right?
fine.
So,
They're
I
there.
mean, it could be January 1st for me and I can pick up the phone and call them, but it's January 2nd for them. So
Yeah.
know your audience, know who you're talking to. Jeff Dickinson says, nope, as I have empathy for the shippers who have to work that day. The last person they want to hear from, well, upset because they have to work that day is a broker saying, can I help you move your freight? Could you imagine?
What freight do you have? Tell me about your company.
Could you imagine? Like, I almost like picture a shipper looking at their phone going, really?
Yeah.
What is happening right now? Click. Anyway.
Who is this and how will I never speak to them again in future? No matter what they do?
Anyways, that was a fun poll. We're glad that everybody got a chance to weigh in. We do ask a question every single Wednesday morning and everybody kind of gets involved. So go and check that out. That'll be tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right. So our first article, I don't know if you guys saw this, but CMA CGM, who is a steamship line, got into air cargo apparently 20 months ago in early 2021. I think they wanted to get on the gravy train of everybody moving air freight because ocean freight was so expensive. But what I can tell you right now is that they did dump their US service. So they had a whole bunch of freight forwarders selling this service. And apparently it was a really great service. There's a lot of people that said it was one of their best experiences with air freight and consolidation and things like that, which is great. But then they dumped the US market. And the reason why they dumped the US market is to lease the plane to make more money. So they sold this service, this air cargo service, to all of these freight forwarders who then in turn sold it to their customers. And then decided like this to dump the service, left everybody scrambling to find air freight, especially like, I don't know what the dates were specifically on this, but think about it. We were in peak season, right? People are still shipping stuff for the holiday season.
End of year, beginning.
Yeah. And they leased the planes to DHL and Qatar Airways, which. So there's a couple of things to this story, right? Because how do you recover from this as a brand, right? Because now you've kind of labeled yourself unreliable.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a decision like that and you're going to upend people's supply chains, I mean, that's not a good look. What do you think about this? Would you use them now?
No. But I do think there's a way to do something temporarily. Like I can get that was a decision at the height of the nonsense in 2021. I could see, let's buy a fleet of airplanes and maximize it. And then it would, and making it as a temporary decision, like, and as soon as we see it drop off and ocean pick up or this situation change, then we drop it. And that's maybe something that they discussed internally. But then to have freight owners with their freight or expecting transportation and then you not being available in the peak season with minimal notice, I think that's just poor form, right? So it's just poor communication. And then it like you said, it hurts the brand. Yeah.
So this article was written 3 weeks ago by FreightWaves. It says that they're going to resume the service soon, which I don't know if people are actually going to use it if, they are looking unreliable.
Good.
And now they're also they're selling capacity on digital marketplaces, but is it too late?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's someone who will use it, but like the people who've gotten burned might feel quite burned about it.
Yeah, there was a couple of freight forwarders in that article that were like, it was one of the best experiences and now I don't trust them.
Yeah.
So let's see how they bounce back, because I think that's also a story in itself of how you're going to bounce back from something like this. And if they can bounce back, or they're going to have to continue leasing their planes to make money. Who knows? All right. So our next article is about drone delivery service. Now, we are still talking about this because it's getting bigger. So Walmart is looking to deliver 1 million packages by drones a year. So they've already started in Phoenix, Dallas, and Orlando, and they're going into Arkansas, Utah, and Virginia. And one of the comments in this particular article, I think it's from somebody high up at Walmart, was that it's just cool.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's cool, but how much is it costing you? And is it actually working? Apparently, they've delivered thousands and thousands of packages. If you are one of those people who have received a package by drone, please reach out to me because I want to know about your experience and what that actually did for you. They also talk about how they have a team of certified pilots. So not only are we looking at the cost of delivering that particular package, but you've got a whole team of pilots behind this particular delivery service that you're going to have to maintain and you're going to have to pay for. They're saying that the cable lowers the package to the safest part of the home, which is the yard or the driveway. Well, if you pull in your driveway and you're not paying attention, there's something in your driveway, not entirely sure. Or if there's a yard full of snow and it can't get wet, I don't know. We'll see. And then the last part of this says that they can't deliver in bad weather. So, I mean, then it'll have to go on a truck. But how do you decide and how much is that going to delay the package being delivered? Anyways, what do you think about this? Are you all for drone deliveries? Would you get a drone delivery? How does it work for apartments? Probably doesn't work for apartments.
I'm lucky because I have a door to the street. I'm in a more of a walk up, but so it would probably be okay for me. And they could go to my back door because I have a little backyard. But so I'd be fine with drone delivery. And I mean, let's make supply chain cool. So
supply chain is already cool without drones, don't you think?
Now the drones and warehouse robots definitely jazz it up. So I think it's interesting. I think it's an extension. I mean, I think it's like everything. If you look at DHL added electronic bikes on some of their European routes. I don't know if they've done it or they were talking about doing it by 2025 sort of thing. So I think FedEx is just doing an extension of their fleet, really, and it just happens to be drones and involve pilots. But yeah, I mean, it's going to change the game. It's interesting to see the states that have gone ahead with it versus some of the states that are maybe more hesitant. Because you do get into how are you managing the airspace, if all, however many courier companies, if the US Post gets involved, like then how many drones do you really have going around? And I don't know if you've seen they're kind of creepy.
They are kind of creepy.
I've been at the farmer's market and you'll see a drone go by and you're like, it's disconcerting, I think, for your average person. Well, so I don't know how many of those we want just buzzing around all the time, which I think is the sort of safety and regulatory conversation that's sort of ongoing. But, as far as being able to deliver packages, it's pretty solid and usable tool.
Well, and who is watching the video that it's taking while it's flying? And what are they actually taking video of?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my biggest challenge.
Yeah, are they recording it or is it just a view? If you're a pilot in an airplane, you're not really videoing the whole trip that you're on right in front of you. You just have a view, or you have cameras to supplement your view. So is the drone, is it recording or is it,
I know that's my biggest challenge with drones is, if somebody's in their backyard and they think that they're in private and something flies over and they take video of it, what happens to that video? And are we all exposed? So I think it's a good idea, for us to test it out and see what happens. I think there's all sorts of use cases for it, and we'll have to sort of see how it works and how it doesn't. People are going to be testing it out for a while. And I think that that's okay. But I think it also gives us another option of what that looks like. And for Walmart to partner with Drone Up directly, they're actually bypassing some of those last mile delivery companies like FedEx, UPS, DHL, and doing their own deliveries. So I think it'll all come out in the wash to see, whether it's going to cost more, cost less, give them more control over the deliveries to their customers, right?
And that's a move we've seen Walmart making since about 2021, and they had a new VP supply chain come in, and he's been doing some interesting things. So they're definitely a company, a retailer to watch for us in this space.
All right. So now our last article, we are getting up to date on the maple syrup crisis. I don't know if you guys remembered this, but I think about 6 or 7 months ago, we talked to you about maple syrup. Now, Canada produces 75% of the global maple syrup that you can find in your local grocery store. And in 2021, there was actually such a shortage. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Canada holds reserves of maple syrup. And the reserves are 94,000 barrels, 5.1 million gallons of maple syrup that we have in reserves just in case we have a shortage. And in 2021, we had to tap into those reserves because we didn't have enough. And that was kind of scary, right? I mean, you start tapping into reserves, what happens? You got to replenish that. And I'm sure they've replenished that over 2022. But the reserves that we have can fill 8 Olympic-sized pools. Now, I didn't know this about maple syrup production, but this is quite fascinating in the fact that Canada holds the majority of the market in this. Plus, we have reserves, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's us in Vermont.
Vermont? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought it was all, Canada's 75%. So where's the other 25%?
Quebec, Ontario, Vermont, probably. Maine.
Quebec, Ontario, Vermont. Awesome. Awesome. Well, in 2020, they talked about 14.3 million gallons of maple syrup was purchased globally. And that is $413 million worth of maple syrup. I mean, people talked about the shortage in cream cheese. And how like 236 million people were up in arms because they couldn't get cream cheese.
Yeah.
Think about this from a maple syrup perspective, right? $413 million worth of maple syrup that people consume every year. Since 2003, Vermont's maple syrup production has increased from around 500,000 gallons to 2.55 million gallons in 2022. Thank you, AJ. He's like our resident Larry. Going and researching while we're talking about it. But just crazy. So just so you know, we will not have any shortage of maple syrup anytime
it's
soon.
It's very important.
Let everyone know. All right. So we're getting to our upcoming events. So I don't know if you guys are going to be there, but Manifest happens January 30th to February 1st. And I am going to be there. I'm going to be there on site, and we're going to be recording podcasts. I'm going to be doing some video content, Woman on the Street. So hopefully I am going to see you there. If you're going to be there, please put it in the comments. Love to see you. Come and say hi. Also TPM 23. So we've got TPM Tech, which is happening the week before. And then we've got TPM 23 happening February 26th to March 1st. Are you going to be there, Audrey?
I'm speaking at TPM Tech this year.
Yay.
Again. So that's very exciting for me. It's coming up very fast.
I know. I know. I still have a lot of work to do on it.
I'm like, I got people to talk to because it's coming up so fast. But yes, I'm excited to I'll be speaking at TPM Tech. I'll be going to TPM 23. And it's gonna be a banger. So
Awesome. And then we've got all of our live shows. So again, we've got the intelligence perspective. So this one is like, the crime podcasts, the crime show, the true crime shows that you listen to. This is what this brand new show is about, because they're talking about cybersecurity and theft in supply chain and how you can overcome it, the risks and all that. So that happens every second Tuesday at 1 p.m. So that's going to happen next week. We've got No Bullshipping with Hope White. And we've got, what else? We've got Log Tech Live happening on Friday. Special delivery the last Thursday of every month. They actually had a show last week. And we've got action items with DC Shvigola. And that is pretty much it for us. That's what we've got upcoming. And I just want to wish everybody in the audience, everybody who has supported us in 2022, an amazing 2023 ahead. Next week, I've got Akshay from Terminal 49 joining me for Thoughts and Coffee, and we're going to be talking all about visibility and container tracking and all sorts of great stuff. So thank you all for joining me today. Thank you, Audrey. We are heading over to the Let's Talk Supply Chain Instagram to go live and talk a little bit more about some of these topics. So hopefully we'll see you over there.
Love it.